guys, welcome back to 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔. Today we're going to play the Black Mirror featuring the new Thievul from Astral Radiance with the baffling ability, allowing you to deny all effects of your opponent's supporter cards done to your bench Pokemon V once your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. So we're trying to play this card with our Single Strike Wobbuffet with a mirror counter attack, placing damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon equal to the number of damage counter on one of your bench Pokemon. We're supplying Arceus VSTAR with 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔 and Big Charm to help us tank damage for Wobbuffet to do Mirror Pain. So we've got 3 Arceus V and VSTAR plus that 1 𝑘𝑭𝑏𝑎𝑡 V for Thievul to work its magic. So Thievul's ability only works when your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. That means you need to play a lot of V cards in your deck to make sure your opponent gets to a point where they have 2 prize remaining, which is the perfect time for you to use our Wobbuffet. All we need to do once we get to that point is to switch or retreat to our Wobbuffet, attach a double turbo from our hand, and hit it with Mirror Pain twice in a row to end the game. So that means Thievul actually guarantees us a double strike with Wobbuffet just before the game ends. So that's essentially the main strategy of this deck. On to our setup cards, we have 4 VP Pass, 3 Quick Ball, and 3 Capture for the basic summon, 3 Incense and 1 Ultra Ball for the evolution. We also have 1 extra copy of Adventurous Discovery to help us bench our Arceus or evolve the VSTAR fast. As for our draw support, we've got 2 Marnies, 2 Research, 2 Shauna, 1 Schoolgirl, 1 Avery, 1 Copycat, and 2 Bird Keepers. To help us draw more cards into our hand, we have also our Radiant Greninja with 2 copies of Training Core to help us retrieve our basic energies. So we need our Stadium cards to help us remove Path to the Peak so that we get to use our 𝑠tarburst, Dark Asset, and Concealed cards. For the switch, we're playing 1 Escape Rope, 1 Switch, and 2 Bird Keepers. We also have 2 Boss Order, 1 Raihan, and 1 Manaphy for the extra support. Finally, for the energies, we're playing 4 Double Turbo and 4 basic Darkness Energy. So that's all for the deck list, and if you guys are in need of any specific cards or packs for your own PTCG account, feel free to contact our sponsor from XTrainer90 team for the best price in Pokemon TCG online codes. You can contact them through the links in the description below, or you can click on the top right corner of this video. They even got complete personal decks you could purchase, full art, secret rare gold cards to add to your collection, and packs from any expansion in format. Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Rebel Clash, you name it. And now let's go for gameplay! Okay, let's go for our first game versus 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔 V with Miltank, the super frustrating V card that never dies. Super high, heavy tanker, super high HP, 300, with 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔 protecting it from weakness. So it's really annoying because if you can't one-hit KO a 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔 V, you're gonna spend a lot of turns trying to draw 2 prize, trying to kill a Pokemon for only 2 prize, and they even got Miltank to wall as well. So that Miltank is going to be a bit of a problem because we only have Wobbuffet. But it's not too bad though because we can still use Raihan for Thievul to attack. So Thievul, if they don't attach the cape to Miltank, Thievul actually gets to kill a Miltank with 110 damage exactly. So don't underestimate that card. That's why we're playing Darkness Energy for this deck, just for Thievul to attack as well. And also for us to play Nickit if we can. If we are lucky enough to get that 1 Nickit to start the game as our first active, we can actually do Instigate to reduce our opponent's hand down to 3 cards. If they play Sobble Inteleon though, we can't actually do much. If they play Shady Dealings obviously, or cards like 𝑠tarburst. So we got our Arceus VSTAR early, and we're gonna do our double turbo, escape rope, and attack right now. I think it's better to just boss the 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔 early, because that way we got enough damage in the game. And if they play Hyper Potion, they're gonna have to discard everything. So I don't think they can afford to play a Hyper Potion on the on the next turn, because they only got 2 energies on the 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔. Unless if they play a double turbo, then they can heal and attack at the same time. So they need to attack every single turn, otherwise they can't rake in enough energies for 𝑑𝑻𝒄𝒅𝒔 to do enough damage with Blissful Blast later on. So 𝑑𝑻𝒄𝒅𝒔 needs to do more and more damage with that attack, otherwise it kind of defeats the purpose of playing that card. So we're gonna attach 3 energies from the deck to 1 to our active, just because we are gonna expect our opponent to play Phantom Wave, Crushing Hammer, because double turbo doesn't stay in the game for very long. So always, for security, add an extra copy of energy to your Arceus active. We actually used our double turbo already. My bad. We haven't used our 𝑠tarburst. So Crobat is still in the game. 𝑠tarburst is still in the game, and they actually played a path. That means we need to find our stadium cards fast. We got our Copycat and Marnie in our hand. Not too bad. They actually played a Sharon. Oh my god, they erased everything, and now we actually spent a boss for nothing. Well, we forced them to waste that Sharon though, so now they have no more Sharon. Or if they have like 1 more, at least we exhausted them of the other copy. So we're gonna play a Schoolgirl right here, I think, because Marnie is gonna remove those We may draw no support card with Marnie. Marnie could actually destroy our hand. Let's just play a safe Schoolgirl. And then Marnie on the next turn, possibly. So let's bench our Naked fast. We don't actually need to worry about our Thievul. We don't need to pull that card out as early as we can. We just need to have it in play by our 5th turn even, just because we can't actually wait till the last second to pull out the Thievul. And Thievul only works when your opponent has 2 prize remaining, so we just need to bench it. We just need to think about benching it by the time our opponent has like 3 prize remaining or something like that. We don't need to worry too much about that. So obviously if your opponent draw 1 prize at a time, is going to be bad. They can actually boss your Arceus when they have 3 prize remaining, so we want to be forcing them to deal with Arceus every single turn so that they actually draw even number of prize cards and actually have 2 prize remaining for us to use our baffling ability. So baffling allows us to force our opponent to hit Wobbuffet late stage in the game before the game ends. Just right before it ends, we actually got 2 clean strikes of Mirror Pain to do up to 200 plus damage, 20 plus damage counters with Wobbuffet twice, allowing us to kill a V-Star or even a V-Card, a V-Max Pokemon with 2 hits, you know, securing us 2 turns at the final stage of the game. So boss is not going to work on our V-Cards, on Arceus, if they play that card with Thievul in play once they have 2 prize remaining. So that's the main setting point of this deck. We want to be using that ability. And Wobbuffet, that's why we have our Big Charm. We have no choice about in this deck. That's the reason we are playing 3 copies of Big Charm. So we're gonna play our Avery right now, or maybe a Research, I don't know. I think we're just buying time for them to use Miltank to attack, because once they attack with Miltank, we got our Bird Keeper. We can actually do Mirror Pain to kill the Miltank. So we're trying to bait them into attacking the Arceus. If they slowly charge up the 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 though, if they attach 1 energy at a time, we're just gonna wait for our second boss, right? Because we actually have a second boss or even an escape rope. We're just gonna do maybe a research right now for an escape rope. So we're just gonna not do anything. We're gonna evolve the Thievul obviously and not play our Wobbuffet until we can. So it may be smart to play like Psychic Energy in this deck, or even Aurora for Wobbuffet to attack as well, but it's not doing enough though. 70 damage for 3 energies, hit but bounce, I mean that's quite weak. Not even enough to kill a Miltank or a Level Ball card, like a 90 HP card. Okay, we got our switch, only 90 damage with Wobbuffet. I don't think that's enough. We're just gonna wait another turn. If they keep attaching to 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶, they can actually do a 1-hit knockout on the Arceus, but not many turns though. They can't actually do it that many times with the same 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶, because once the first one gets knocked out, they're gonna have to recharge the next one. Okay, we're gonna do Trinity Nova again, I suppose, just to shuffle the deck. It's always good to like shuffle twice. I don't know, I quite like to shuffle my deck twice if I can every single turn. That way we actually guarantee maybe a better hand on the next turn. I don't know, it kind of works for my strategy. I don't know if it works for other players, I don't know. So we're just gonna do our Wobbuffet right now. They actually did route a second time. We finally got 18 damage counters. We're gonna play our Bird Keeper. We actually don't have any energy in our hand, but fortunately we got 1 from the top 3, and we actually have a extra training card, so we could have done a switch retreat to retrieve the energy had we not gotten a, you know, had we not top decked a energy from the Bird Keeper. So here comes 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶. We're gonna do our second Arceus, and they actually bossed the first one. That's horrible. That is horrible, but they are actually drawing 2 prize though. If they hit the Wobbuffet, they're drawing 1 prize, and we actually have to force them to hit another 1 prize, maybe 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶, to get them down to 2, so that we get to play Wobbuffet twice. So I think it's kind of better that they hit the Arceus, but now we actually need to, you know, charge up the next one to kill this one 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶. This 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 is gonna do a 1-hit knockout on the next turn. I think we need to get Big Charm. I don't think it can do a one-hit knockout just yet. So they actually got one double turbo. That's 40 damage. 60 damage with the 2 capture. Another 60, another 100. That's 220 plus 40, 50, 250. So if they attach a powerful energy on the next turn from their hand, that's 290. Sorry, 300 damage. So if they have a powerful energy on the 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆�, passing the turn, they still can't knock out our Arceus because we have our Big Charm now. We're actually Star Birth for that tool card. We should be using Star Birth for a supporter card, but we actually did a tool search. But that's all we need though. We don't need anything else, so it doesn't make sense for us to get a supporter card because we get to evolve and attach an energy on the next turn to kill the 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆� with our second Arceus. But they can't even knock us out though. Even with the second double turbo, they're only doing 290 damage, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not enough. Oh, it's enough. My bad. It's exactly enough. Oops, I miscounted. I counted it wrong. And they actually killed the Arceus with one hit. But that's they're done though. They got no more one-hit knockouts. For the next hit, they gotta hit. They need 2 strikes to kill the Arceus. And once they hit the first one, we're gonna retreat to our Wobbuffet to do Mirror Pain twice, and that actually secures us a double 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆� knockout. But we actually got 1 prize remaining after the second 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆𝒔 dies, so it's actually still a bit wobbly. We are still we still risk the chance of losing this game. I mean, anything can happen, but they are doing very low damage with the first 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆𝒔 though. So I think we got 2 turns left. If they don't play Miltank, they actually need 2 turns, 2 hits with the 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆𝒔 to get enough energies for a one-hit knockout. So I think Arceus can tank enough damage for 2 strikes. Even with like powerful and double turbo. I think powerful is doing more damage boost than the double turbo. Because one powerful equals 50 extra damage, whereas 1 double turbo equals 40 extra damage. So that's why they're taking more powerful than the double turbo. And I don't think they can do a knockout though. We better be getting our Big Charm though. Let's just search our Big Charm. We're gonna play our Ultra Ball and Copycat. So Copycat is helping us a lot for this game. Thank God they actually drew a lot of cards into their hand. They're playing cards like Zinnia and 𝑙lister to keep drawing. And I don't think they are putting cards back into the deck unless if they play a Marnie. So let's just do Ultra Ball and Copycat. And then attach the tool card, tank enough damage for the next turn, and then Wobbuffet twice to kill the 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆𝒔. Well, we actually get to do like a boss for the final knockout. So Wobbuffet once. We just need to do Wobbuffet once to kill this 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒐. And then on the next turn, escape rope or boss something on the bench to kill it. Because we actually have 1 prize remaining after this one dies. They're probably gonna force us to hit a 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒐, another 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒏. Let's hope they play an 𝑎𝑣𝑟𝑒 because 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒏 actually has 20 HP remaining, so that is quite a risk. We have an element of risk right there, posing a threat. Let's just do our training card, get an extra energy into our hand, fast. We actually have a Crobat still, so it may not be wise to play that training card that early. But we actually haven't attached an energy, so we get to attach an extra to our bench Wobbuffet. And that's actually our second Wobbuffet. So if they play 𝑎𝑣𝑟𝑒, we're just going to discard our Greninja and the 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒏, obviously. Okay, here comes Hyper Potion. That's bad, because now I don't think we can do a one-hit knockout with Wobbuffet. I mean a second hit knockout with Wobbuffet. Because we only have 250. Oh, we get to though. It's enough. It's actually enough, right? So now we just need to keep our boss order in our hand, but we actually played a Marnie. That was quite silly. They could play a Marnie at the last second though, so you never know. So if we have a boss in our hand, make sure you don't put it back. But since you have such a big hand, your opponent could actually be threatened and play a Marnie on their next turn. So it's kind of the same thing. If you get Marnie though, you may actually draw like escape rope, so we're still good in a sense, because all we need is that one last prize, and we actually got a few turns for that. Not many, but we got a few turns, a good many turns. So they can actually win the game right now if they boss the 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒔 and then draw one prize at a time with the 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆�, because 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝑪𝒐𝒅 can actually do enough damage for a knockout on the next turn. After collecting enough energy from the discard pile, doing a 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝑪𝒅𝒔 knockout, but it actually bossed the Arceus, and we get to use Thievul's ability. Baffling actually works. Baffling worked to block them from using a boss on Arceus. And had they done the 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝑪𝒅𝒔 though, had they killed the 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝑪𝒅𝒔, they would have won the game. So this was a very close one. They were a bit too rash in playing their supporter. They weren't aware that Thievul was in the game, that Thievul actually gets to block them from doing a boss. And we actually won without a boss order. We couldn't play our 𝓜𝓚𝓚 to draw the boss. We couldn't play our research to get an escape rope because we have no more escape rope inside the deck. So boss is our only hope to draw the final prize if they did a 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝑪𝒅𝒔 knockout on the last turn. So it might have been wiser to do the training card later, to attach the training card later in the game, because that actually helps us do our 𝓜𝓚𝓚 to draw out possibly the boss back into our hand, or maybe play our 𝑐𝑭𝑭𝑬𝑹 as well, quick ball for the 𝑐𝑭𝑭𝑬𝑹, and then 𝓜𝓚𝓚 training card. That actually helps us draw out the boss. So make sure you don't play your stadium too early, because we actually got 2 double turbo inside the deck for our second Wobbuffet, so we don't actually need that darkness energy from the discard pile. We don't need to play the training card that early. So there's always a counter for that 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝑪𝒅𝒔 knockout, and all we need is to draw enough cards to draw back the boss, to kill the something on the bench for the final prize. But, well, that is a different case, so they weren't smart enough to think of that, so let's just not speculate. And we got our final knockout right here, doing 250 damage with Mirror Pain on that 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆𝒔. We got 380 damage, 38 damage counters to kill a V card. Is that madness? It's a crazy 𝑉STAR. 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒆𝒔 is a 𝑉STAR because it has so much HP. Cape of Toughness is going to get rotated though, so 𝑑𝑍𝑚𝒐𝒅𝒆𝒔 is not going to get that strong anymore. Big Charm, Cape of Toughness, all of those HP boosts is going to get rotated. I'm a bit sad with that. Oh well. And there's no more special energies. If you guys notice, there's no more special energies for new sets. Astral Radiance, Dark Phantasma, Lost Abyss, my bad, has no special energies. I mean, there's only one double turbo. There's only one special energy for Brilliant Stars. And I'm not sure about the one before. I think the one before is it Fusion Strike? I forgot what's before Brilliant Stars. I think it's Fusion Strike. So Fusion Strike obviously has the Fusion Strike energy. And then we got Evolving Skies doesn't actually have an energy, I think. Well, we have Impact and Spiral energy, I think, for Evolving Skies. I'm not too sure. But that's it, right? That's the only thing. We got our Fusion Strike, Double Turbo, Impact, Spiral, and Rapid Strike, Single Strike energy. That's all. That's the only special energy post-rotation. And that's gonna be so... that's gonna change the game a lot. It's gonna be so different. Having no capture, no more twin energy, no more aurora, speed, heat energy, all of those special type energies. The special type energies is no more, and that's a big difference. That's gonna change the game entirely. No more powerful for Regigigas, no more speed energy for Regieleki, no more. I love it though. I mean, Regigigas is gonna get completely crushed. I love that. I hate Regigigas so much. I mean, it's just too broken. It's way too fast. I mean, it's way too consistent. You don't need to add that many cards in your deck. You just need enough balls, enough Ultra Ball, Quick Ball, VIP Pass. Just need to keep benching, play a Rod at the right time, draw cards into your hand, discard your energy, and that's it. All you need to do is discard energy and bench. Discard, bench, discard, bench. That's all you need. If they play Collapse Stadium though, you need enough Stadium cards in your deck. And if you don't play enough Stadium, if you don't get it at the right time, you can't actually attack with your Regigigas deck. So that's the good thing about Collapse Stadium. We still have that counter sort of, and Avery to remove, to deny Regigigas from attacking. So it's not perfect even pre-rotation. It's still not perfect. Okay, we got our Arceus VSTAR early, and we actually get to hit the 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 before it evolves, and now we can't hit it because we actually got a double turbo attached to the active. Now we actually have to wait for 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 to damage our Arceus, and if they play enough Single Strike Energy or Choice Belt, if they have enough of those damage boosts, they may be able to knock out Arceus with one hit, but I don't think it's that easy though, because they need like 100 extra damage, 90 extra damage, but if you are adding even, well, if you have a Choice Belt, you actually get to add 30. That means they need like 3 Single Strike Energy, and they actually need Metal Energy for the attack cost. So it's not that easy. They need 3 Single Strike Energy and a Choice Belt for 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 to do a one-hit knockout against Arceus. They may just choose not to attack until they have enough damage, until they have enough Single Strike Energy for the one-hit knockout. That would be smarter. But by then we would probably get our next Arceus. We will probably get our second Arceus with the Darkness Energy. So we need Training Court, because we don't actually have our basic energy, any more basic inside the deck. We're gonna somehow need to Star Birth for a Training Court, retrieve that energy, and hit the 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 for the knockout, forcing them to hit us fast with the next 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶. Because if they don't hit us fast, we're gonna be able to do a 2-hit knockout with the second Arceus. If they hit us fast, we can actually, they can't do a 1-hit knockout obviously, but we can actually do, and also we can do our Mirror Pain. Sorry guys, not using my words correctly. Okay, we got our second Arceus. Are we gonna use our Ultra Ball this turn? Okay, we did Mirror Pain. Because of that crazy ability, we can't actually damage the 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 with anything but the Wobbuffet. So thank God for Wobbuffet. And we still have our Star Birth in the game. Our VSTAR power is still available to us. So we're trying to keep it until the last second, trying to use it when we need to, because we don't actually need it just yet. That one copy of Raihan is actually quite tricky. The strategy, the way you have to play that card is that you need to play it whenever you get a knockout. Whenever you get a knockout, just play a Raihan to get an extra energy in the game, because Wobbuffet actually needs 2 energies. If you don't get a double turbo, if you don't get the Star Birth for that, if you don't draw a double turbo into your hand, if you can't attach on your turn, then Wobbuffet can't attack after Arceus gets hit. And Wobbuffet needs to do that. Wobbuffet needs to do a turbo Mirror Pain for you to secure that double hit, that double strike, once your opponent has 2 prize remaining with your Thievul in play. And now we actually get to do Mirror Pain Arceus. So we got 2 attackers passing the turn. They couldn't attack. That means we get to do a final, the knockout blow with either the Arceus or the Wobbuffet. Whichever they knock out, we're good. And they can't actually knock out the second Arceus. So I think they're gonna boss right now. We don't need the Wobbuffet. So if they boss the first Arceus, Wobbuffet is doing 0 damage with Mirror Pain, but we can actually attack finally with our second Arceus. And we got even the Raihan to add an extra energy, so we're good. We got the final knockout against 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶. We won against that crazy VMAX with the Skyscraping Perfection ability. It's actually Skyscraper, my bad. Skyscraping Perfection is the expansion. It's the Japanese side, right? My bad, I got it mixed up. Right now we're up against a water deck, I think, with a Squirtle deck box and a Squirtle deck sleeve and a Sobble coin. Pretty interesting choice. We got our VSTAR card in this deck and our Radiant card in this deck as well. Very post-rotation. I don't think we have any pre-rotation cards except for Crobat. Incense, obviously. Quick Ball, Incense, Crobat. Well, there are way too many setup cards, way too many essentials that are pre-rotation. So rotation is going to change the game entirely just because there's no more evolution. Incense, there's no more Quick Ball, and that alone is a huge shift. But we also don't have Capture Energy, we also don't have Aurora Energy, all of those essentials, like core essentials, right? Aurora Energy, like come on. Aurora Energy is like a rainbow. Like how are you gonna build one price decks? How are you gonna build rainbow decks without that one energy, that special energy? They better be coming up. They better be releasing that rainbow back. They better be bringing back our rainbow if they want to be cutting out Aurora, or at least Prism Energy. Prism Energy is not that good though because you only get to attach to your basic Pokemon. I quite like Rainbow because that one damage counter actually helps out with your with the effects of attacks. If you're doing extra damage with Morpeko as well, something like Heatran, Radiant Heatran or Morpeko, Single Strike Morpeko, you actually get to do extra damage with your, or even Hisuian Zoroark VSTAR on the next set. We actually get to do extra damage for each damage counter on our Pokemon, so Rainbow Energy is helping with that. Okay, we got our second Arceus. We're gonna do Starbirth for a... I think we actually did Starbirth for a Tool card and an Energy. So we should be doing either the Crobat or a supporter card to draw, for us to draw cards to our hand, but we actually did a really silly thing. We were trying to deny them from doing extra damage with the Suicune, because if we bench the Crobat, we could draw cards, but we're gonna allow them to do a one-hit knockout with that Ludicolo, so we don't want to be giving them an extra damage. We don't want to be giving them extra Pokemons on the bench. And they kind of do Echoing Horn without any Pokemons in our discard pile. So I think we're good to survive a hit on the next turn, even with Ludicolo. They need to evolve 2 Ludicolos for a knockout, even with Choice Belt. So they're doing a max of 160 without the Choice Belt and Ludicolo, 290 with both of those damage boost, and they actually are 20 damage short of a knockout, of an Arceus knockout. So we are actually good for a few turns because we actually got enough energies in play. We're just gonna attach 1 to the active though, just to be safe. Oh, we actually chose to attach to the bench. For this game, we chose to attach to the bench because we have a bad hand. We have a shit hand. We're stuck with nothing. No Starbirth on the next turn as well, so we need to be surviving a few turns. If they play a fan with that Shady, we're gonna be so screwed. If they play a Crushing Hammer as well, I mean, there's no telling what they're gonna do, because Shady decks are insane. They could have any trainer cards inside the deck, Tool Scrapper, you know, they can search for anything. Tool Jammer, Tool Scrapper, Choice Belt, Rare Candy, Fan of Waves, or even the Temple of Sinnoh. All they need is the Temple of Sinnoh to deny us from attacking on the next turn if we don't get an energy or support card. We got a lot of support cards in this deck though. Like, why are we not getting it? We just wasted the Starbirth. I suppose that's the reason. Adventure's Discovery actually helps you draw cards as well if you can bench a Crobat, if you can afford to, if you have enough bench spots, if you don't want to deny them extra damage. Okay, here comes the Melanie. No boss is good because they can't actually do a knockout on the active with that tool card attached. And they don't have enough energies without the Melanie, so they need to play that card. The only way they could do a knockout is if they do a boss, or if they play an Echoing Horn, but we don't actually have any Pokemon discarded, so we don't need to worry about that item. Rapid Strike Echoing Horn. You can actually search for that card with your Octillery. Pretty interesting. Okay, they got a second 𝘿𝙚𝓚, but they just benched it this turn, so it's impossible for them to get like 200 damage boost, which is what they need in order to knock out our active right now. The more damage they're doing, the more we get to do with Wobbuffet, the more we get to damage them with Wobbuffet later on. So obviously, once you get damaged, if you can, retreat to your second Arceus to attack, force them to either waste their boss, or if they don't do a boss, if they kill your active, you actually get to play your Wobbuffet for Mirror Pain, and then they are forced to play the boss. They have no choice anymore. Because if they boss the Arceus on your bench, Wobbuffet is doing 0 damage. Then they are forcing you to charge up for your third Arceus. They're forcing you to play your third Arceus to be able to damage them, to do anything, you know, because you can't actually you can't attack without your third Arceus. You're essentially stuck. So Wobbuffet is kind of risky in that sense, because if you have no V cards on your bench, if you have no damage counters on your bench, you can't do anything, and that means you run the risk of your opponent playing a boss to remove any Pokemons with damage counters in your bench position. Okay, they got a choice belt, they got a Ludicolo. They are investing a lot. They're trying to do a one-hit knockout, but obviously failing. It's not possible, guys. It's just not. Unless if they do a, a tool scrapper, but they already did their shady. They did their shady, and if they got a tool scrapper in their hand, they would have done it already. Tool scrapper is gonna help them kill us. They still need an extra bench though, because without the extra bench, they're only doing 260. My bad, 270. So now they're doing 290, but they got no hand. They got nothing in their hand. They're investing everything to do as much damage as they can, trying to collect the knockout with Inteleon. So if they got the quick shoot, they can actually kill our Arceus VSTAR on the bench. So don't underestimate Suicune, just because doing that much damage is actually helping them collect the knockout with Inteleon. I actually forgot about that. So retreating may not be wise, but we are trying to play Wobbuffet. We're trying to help out with Mirror Pain, just in case we draw that card out fast. So they got Fleet Foot for the draw support, but it's not helping them much. It's only that one extra card. Let's hope they are stuck for a few turns. They can actually kill us this turn if they got a second Ludicolo, but couldn't do it. Thank God they didn't get an Inteleon, they didn't get Rare Candy Incense, no research. So we got lucky. We're gonna play our research right now, and then bench something. There's no point attaching the tool card. We're just gonna attach it to our third Arceus if we're lucky enough to have it inside the deck. We only are playing 3 copies though, only 3 Arceus and the VSTAR, so we may need to sacrifice a Crobat for the 2 prize to help us with Wobbuffet's Mirror Pain. But it's always better to expect your opponent to play a boss. So if you bench a Crobat to draw cards into your hand, and you could have your opponent play a boss to kill the Crobat for 2 prize, and that is actually helping you attack more times with Arceus. Not only that, you're also helping out with your Thievul's ability, because you don't need your third Arceus in the game to tank damage for Wobbuffet to do the double strike at the final countdown. Okay, we're gonna attach a capture on the Arceus, obviously. We're just gonna bench maybe the Menifee. So the reason I'm not, we're not supposed to bench anything though, honestly, but the reason we searched for a basic is because we wanted to, we don't really need to care about how much damage they're doing, because they're doing a knockout anyways. Both our Arceus is already damaged. They just need a second strike to kill both. But if we get our third one though, if we get our third Arceus, then that actually counts, right? We shouldn't be benching the Manaphy just because we could be searching for an Arceus instead and then charging up the third one. But if we bench it too early though, they're gonna boss and kill that Arceus on the bench while doing a quick shoot. So that's the risk that we are having here. Quick shoot is a very, very scary card. Obviously, if they get that, if they get the Inteleon, we're gonna be a few turns back because they're gonna draw an extra prize this turn. But they actually didn't do Melanie or the quick shoot, so no Melanie, no Incense, and that's actually buying us a whole extra turn. And they got no Suicune on the bench. We got a free knockout this turn because they didn't quick shoot our Arceus. We actually get to do 29 damage counter placement, knocking out the second Suicune for another 2 prize. And now they're down to nothing. They need a Melanie, and if they play a Melanie, they can't play a boss. That means we got our second strike. We get to hit our second time with the Arceus, and then all we need is another Wobbuffet to collect the knockout. Well, we can't actually use Wobbuffet though. We need to be thinking about attacking with Thievul, with the Raihan. So if they get their second Suicune, if they can play a Melanie and a quick shoot on that turn, they can actually draw like 4 prizes, my bad. Well, 3 prizes. And then after that, we got 1 strike with the Arceus. We need to collect the knockout with the Thievul because we can't attack with anything else unless if we have like a third Arceus. I don't think we have it inside the deck. So that means we can't attack with Wobbuffet because we have no Pokemon on the bench with damage counters. We are forced to attack to collect the knockout on the final Suicune or on the final Pokemon on the, for the final prize. We're forced to use our Thievul for 110 damage with Raihan. And it's not too difficult because we got our training card to retrieve our Darkness Energy. All we need is that extra 1 from our hand, and we're good to go. So always play your Raihan whenever you can, as early as possible. Don't bother about the timing. Just play it whenever you can. Because if you play it too late, then you can't have enough energies. You can't attach it fast enough. Arceus only allows you to attach your V Pokemon. That means we are only able to attach to other Arceus VSTARs. With Trinity Nova, we can't actually help out with the energy attachment on Wobbuffet. We can't help Thievul charge up the energy, so we need to play Raihan while we can, whenever we can, as fast as possible. That's always the golden rule. And right now we're up against a Miltank deck. Miltank with Mighty Yenna. A very new Astral Radiance Miltank deck. Full on wall to the finish line. Okay, we just need that evolution incense or Ultra Ball. Marnie, okay, we're gonna do our double turbo Marnie. Evolve the Thievul. I don't think they can kill us this turn. Not even with Echoing Horn. So they're playing Echoing Horn for this deck, which is quite interesting. Oh, they actually knocked us out. Oh, we haven't evolved yet. My bad. So we have to bring out the second Nickit. We actually got 2 copies, so we should be fine. But they killed for the first prize, which is a bit depressing because they actually attached a twin energy. So had they attached a double turbo, they could knock us out. So Miltank is doing a very low damage, but it can actually do enough to kill a 1 prize basic. So we got another Thievul, which is great. We're gonna do our Arceus right now. We actually couldn't do, we couldn't damage the Miltank though. So I don't know why I'm so excited about trying to get the incense out. We should be focusing on the Wobbuffet. So we're just gonna bench the Wobbuffet and pass the turn. We may just, well, we actually did, Okay, we didn't attach our energies, surprisingly. Okay, we didn't bench the Wobbuffet just because they could quite easily do a boss. It's not enough to kill us though. Miltank doesn't do enough damage to knock out the Wobbuffet. But we want to be doing 2 strikes for a Miltank knockout. Let's just wait until we have enough damage control on Arceus. Bait them until, because they can't actually do a 1-hit knockout, obviously. They're not doing a lot of damage. They can actually charge up the Mightyena. They can do 160 with Wild Tackle if they have 3 energies on Mightyena. So we are not playing VMAXs in our deck. Mightyena's ability doesn't work. They still need 3 energy attack costs to satisfy for 160 damage. We're not going to attach energies for some reason. Because we could play Greninja for concealed cards to draw extra cards into our hand with Training Court. So I suppose that's the reason. We don't need Arceus for this game. Well, we actually do need it. You can still collect a few prizes if we play Escape Rope at the right time. If we do our boss, we can still draw at least 3 prizes with our V-Star. And then Wobbuffet is going to help us do a Miltank knockout, maybe twice or even 3 times. We can actually do double Miltank knockout. We can kill 2 Miltanks with a single Wobbuffet, just because they couldn't knock out Wobbuffet with 1 hit, even with 5 bench. They need that powerful energy. If they don't have a powerful, Wobbuffet survives. So 110, they actually did enough for us to do Wobbuffet right now. We're going to play our Starbirth for double turbo and switch. And we got our first knockout on the Miltank. They actually need 2 double turbo on the next one. If they play a Raihan though, I don't think they have basic energies in this deck. So 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 is going to completely crush Miltank just because it's going to be a competition of who decks out first. 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 versus Miltank. That would be fun to watch, right? That would be so fun to watch because they can't do anything to 𝑷𝑗𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶, and 𝑷𝑗𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶... Oh, 𝑷𝑗𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶 can actually hit it though. 𝑷𝑗𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶 can kill Miltank. I forgot. 𝑷𝑗𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶 G-Max Pulverization actually does ignore all effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. That means they get to it gets to go through Miracle Body, it gets to go through Altaria, Decidueye, it gets to hit anything. 20 raw damage on 𝑷𝑗𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶. Kind of the same as Max Miracle. Okay, we're gonna do our Mirror Pain. We finally did Starbirth. Oh, we didn't do Starbirth though. We actually played a Research, so we didn't play our Starbirth yet. We still got our V-Star power in the game. That's interesting. Okay, 18 damage counters for the first knockout. And they couldn't actually kill Wobbuffet on the next turn. I think their only hope is to boss the Arceus. Are they able to knock it out with that? They got 110 damage. I think it's enough. Well, it's not enough though. They need 120, right? Well, they need 130 damage. And they got only 110 because of the double turbo powerful. So it's still not enough. Arceus is still surviving this hit, if I'm not mistaken. I got mistaken with the 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶, sorry guys. I'm not sure what happened there, my calculation was wrong. I was pretty sure 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 could knock us out for that last game, but they actually did the knockout, so I was quite disappointed with that. Anyways, let's just draw and Training Court right now. We're gonna do our Escape Rope. Let's just retreat though. Are we gonna retreat, switch, or let's do Bird Keeper? It would be better to do like Starbirth for Bird Keeper, because we would be saving that energy on our Arceus to help us to possibly charge up the next one with you know, we actually have an item switch though. We could have done like Schoolgirl to draw out the item. I didn't realize that we got the item. We shouldn't be playing the Avery just because they got rods to recycle the Miltank, and Avery is actually forcing them to discard the Mightyena. If they discard the Mightyena and the Bibarel, they actually got nothing but Miltanks in play, and that means we're gonna be forced to hit. You know, we're gonna be forced to kill all the Miltanks to win the game. and that's gonna be bad. Let's not forget 𝑐𝑭𝑭𝑬𝑹. They can actually play 𝑐𝑭𝑭𝑬𝑹 at the last second to deny us a boss knockout. So if we have a boss, we better be doing it fast. We better be doing it as fast as we can. We got our switch and decided not to attach to the Arceus for some reason. We shouldn't be playing our switch card then. We should be doing our Starbirth. But if we don't do it, we can't actually attach to the Thievul because we need 2 energies for the retreat. So I think we had no choice but to play the Starbirth. That actually helps us possibly attack with that Arceus. Play a Shauna to put the basic energy back into the deck, and then Trinity Nova to charge up the next Arceus. But I think our best bet is to attack with Thievul with the boss, and they actually did another boss, which is quite frustrating. They got a lot of boss just because they don't need a lot of cards in their deck. They're not playing a lot of supports. They don't need a lot of supporter cards. They got 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶. So that actually gives them enough room for multiple bosses. And they finally killed the Arceus. Down to 3 price now. We're gonna just Raihan on the Thievul, collect the knockout right now, and then I don't think we have any choice though. We don't have any choice but to play a Raihan. We could do a boss. If we play a Raihan on the Arceus, we can't play a boss, right? But we can play Escape Rope. So let's do Escape Rope boss right now. Oh, my bad. Escape Rope Raihan. We can't do boss with Raihan. So Escape Rope Raihan is gonna help us do a knockout with Arceus, and then all we need to do is tank damage. So we need to be putting Arceus in the active spot as many times as we can. If we're up against Miltank, just because we want to be tanking damage before we can hit with Wobbuffet. So since we are putting it in the active spot this turn, might as well just collect an extra prize. We're gonna do Raihan Escape Rope. We have no choice but to play that. We actually get to Quick Ball. We actually get to play Concealed cards and Raihan, which is pretty cool. So Greninja, Raihan, and then double turbo Escape Rope. And we even get to retrieve an energy. We actually don't have any more energy in the discard pile, so Training card is doing nothing for this turn. Okay, we got a free knockout, our 3rd prize. Now we just need to collect 3 more. Okay, oops, sorry about that. Okay, they got double turbo, meaning they're not doing a lot of damage. I mean, there's no chance in hell they're gonna be able to kill Arceus with 1 hit. Impossible. Impossible. Choice Belt, Ludicolo, they got no Ludicolo. It's impossible. Karen's Conviction doesn't work because it's not a single strike. There's nothing to add damage. Iris is only for expanded. So Miltank is kind of useless, I would say, because all you need is a few 1 price cards in your deck to counter that ability. It's not doing a lot of damage. Route is quite useless. Only 20x for each basic Pokemon on your bench. Miltank is kind of bad. That's why I suppose they have Mightyena. Mightyena does 160 for stage 1. Not too good, but not bad just because of the ability. If your opponent is playing any VMAXs, you got to, you get that free attack cost. Kind of interesting. We're gonna attach our capture to the Thievul, prepare it for the attack, and we got no training card. We may have another one. I don't remember how many we played. So we're just gonna pass the turn and wait for enough damage counters on the Arceus to retreat to Wobbuffet and do our Mirror Pain. If they boss the Wobbuffet though, I mean, do they have that many bosses in their deck? I don't know. So their only hope is to boss the Wobbuffet and then do a 2-hit knockout. But if they strike first, we can't actually... We need to be retreating to Thievul, right? That's our only hope. So kill the first Miltank with Thievul and then tank again with our Arceus. Evolve the second Thievul because by then we would have 2 prize remaining on our opponent's end. And then we actually get to do Wobbuffet twice. Because Arceus gets to stay in the bench until the end, until the game finishes. Until the game ends. Okay, they got the Mightyena ready to go. They're gonna do a boss and then knock us out with 160, but they need a choice belt though. 160 is not enough to knock out the Arceus. They still need that choice belt. So we're gonna retreat and Wobbuffet for the knockout right here. Are we gonna play the Marnie? Are we gonna play the Crobat? I don't know what we're gonna play. We shouldn't be playing the Crobat, obviously. So let's do a Marnie, maybe to get a Darkness Energy for Thievul. I really want to do that, but we actually got a Wobbuffet for the next turn though. But we should be attacking with Thievul though. We should be thinking about Thievul for the next hit, and then the final strike for the final prize is when we should be getting out the last copy of our Wobbuffet. That is going to help us win the final, it's going to be the final winning condition. But we can actually do either a boss. Escaper is not going to help though. So we need a boss if we want to do Trinity Nova for the final kill. Okay, we got our second Thievul, which is great because we actually get to stay on the bench. If they don't do a boss right now, if they kill the Wobbuffet, we get to stay on the bench with our Arceus for enough turns to help us kill for multiple prizes. So here comes the Cape of Toughness. No boss, that's great, but they actually got a cape. That means Wobbuffet is not able to kill the final Miltank with 1 hit. But Miltank is not able to kill Wobbuffet either. So I think we're good. They're doing 320 damage. Overkill. They're doing way too much damage. Just because we're weak to his darkness. Compensating for Miltank's weak ass route attack. Miltank is so weak. Way too weak. And we don't have twin post rotation, so double turbo is going to make it even more useless. You're basically dragging the game out with your Miltank because you're not doing a lot of damage. All your opponent needs is like either a 𝑑𝑗𝑠 or like something to counter that, some that one. They just need 1 copy of a 1 prize card to kill the Miltank with 1 hit, or even that 1 canceling Cologne. Phoebe, let's not forget Phoebe is still in the format. Nobody plays that card. Like, why is Phoebe not in the standard? It's quite silly though, because you're playing 1 supporter just for a VMAX attack to get through. It only prevents all effects on the active as well, so if you play Urshifu VMAX with Phoebe, you still don't get to strike the bench with Menifee, which is a bit frustrating because it's a supporter card. Like, if you're playing a supporter card for an effect, might as well just have it, deny all effects of opponent's Pokemon across the board instead of just the active, which is quite silly. That's a really trash supporter card in my opinion. That's the reason nobody plays it. But when it first got released though, it's actually quite viable because VMAX was a big thing during then. At that moment, we got our second last prize with our Thievul, and now we just need to strike with the boss Wobbuffet. We got everything in our hands, so they could quite possibly play a Marnie. If they do a Marnie though, they can't actually kill the Thievul right now. They can't kill the Thievul without 2 echoing horns. They need 2 echoing horns. So if they play Leon, they can actually kill the Thievul. Because Thievul is only 100 HP. So it may be smarter to play the choice belt, to attach the big charm on our Thievul on the last turn. If we attach the tool card on the Thievul, we could quite possibly prevent a knockout. Had they done a double Echoing Horn or a Leon or something to add that extra 30 damage for a Thievul knockout. But if they do that though, if they play a Leon, they can't play a Marnie, and we actually got a Wobbuffet in our hand, a boss, and also our double turbo for the final knockout, and we actually did Mirror Pain to kill for the final prize because that Miltank has a bloody cape on it. Cape of Toughness is actually really annoying because Miltank has 160 HP. And we couldn't kill it with Mirror Pain, we couldn't kill it with our Darkness Fang. I forgot Thievul's attack actually, but it actually does 110 damage for 2 Darkness and 1 Colorless. So Thievul doesn't do enough damage to kill Miltank if it has a cape. That's why we have 2 boss in this deck. I would love to add a Canceling Cologne in this deck. Like, 1 copy of Cologne is always good. For any deck that you build, it's always healthy to have at least 1 copy of Cologne to counter a Miltank, but we don't actually need it just because we have that many bosses. I prefer more copies of boss order just because if your opponent play a V-Star or VMAX deck, that actually helps out as well. So boss is more versatile because it hits all matchups, whereas with Canceling Cologne, it only hits for certain matchups. It's quite particular, it's quite specific, and it's quite niche, so we should be aiming for a versatile deck as much as we can. That's why we're playing 2 boss instead of any Colognes in this deck. We have no copies, 0 Colognes, but I would love to have 1 though. It's gonna make the deck more colorful in a sense. So right now we're up against Darkrai V-Star Turbo Attacker. If they get their Moltres fast, they can do a lot of damage early. Their only hope is to do a 1-hit knockout though. If they can do a 1-hit knockout fast, then they can knock us out early. They're doing more and more damage later on though. So it's actually risky playing against a Darkrai because they can do a 1-hit knockout quite easily against a V-Star especially, but we actually have our big charm support, so I think we should be good for the first few turns. And if we kill the first Darkrai with like the first Arceus, because we actually got our first strike right now, we get to hit it first, and that's a big deal. So Temple of Sinnoh, that means we need to get a training card. We need to Starbirth for a training card and a basic energy, but we may get something with the Birdkeeper. So that Temple of Sinnoh is forcing us to get 3 pieces into our hand. We got 1 piece, which is the switch card. We got another piece, which is the energy, but now we need a 3rd piece, which is the stadium card. So we are forced to play our Starbirth for our training card, wasting our V-Star power just for that stadium, but that's fine. We need to attack first to guarantee us our first V-Star knockout, because that's going to help us a lot throughout the game. We're possibly going to capture either a Nickit or a Wobbuffet. I think it's better to capture a Wobbuffet, but we actually did a Nickit, so oh well. Because if we do a Wobbuffet, if they boss the Wobbuffet, which they're probably not going to do, then we actually get to strike a second time with Arceus with like full HP, and they actually need they need to attach a lot of energies on the next turn to be able to knock out Arceus with 1 hit. I think it's still possible, but they need a lot though, right? They need like 10 energies. Well, they just need 9. They just need 9 energies with the choice belt. 9 energies with the choice belt because they're doing 30 base. So that's enough to kill an Arceus V-Star with a big charm. 330 damage with only 9 energies, and if they got Wheezing in their deck, they don't need that much either. But Wheezing is a stage 1 though, so I don't think it's that easy to play Wheezing. It's probably the best because you're playing a V-Star with a stage 1, it's not too bad. But there's no way you could charge up Wheezing other than the Dark Patch. The only way you could charge up Wheezing is with a Dark Patch and maybe Energy Switch for Moltres. But Energy Switch Moltres is going to add even more space into the deck, and that means you can't have enough space, you don't have enough room for your other supports, for your choice belt enough energies for your Greninja, Crobat, stuff like that, and they actually conceded because we got our first knockout and they got no Darkrai's on the bench. They got no attackers on the bench other than that one Moltres, which is not going to help them do enough damage for the knockout. So they actually conceded early. Moltres is only doing 120 damage, but they could do a choice belt for 150. But they only did 150 though, I think, for their first strike. So the Moltres, even with the choice belt, still couldn't kill our first Arceus, which is a bit sad. So we got lucky for that game, honestly, because Darkrai could stand a good chance at winning against Arceus if they get enough against Arceus Wobbuffet, because our main strategy is to tank damage. If we can't tank any damage, if they're playing a one-hit KO strategy, if we're not tanking damage, we can't win the game. So 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐 actually stand a good chance at winning as well. If they can do a one-hit knockout fast, they can deny us from playing our Mirror Pain throughout the entire game. If we can't do Mirror Pain, we can't win that easily, because that is our main selling point. It's our main, the best thing about this deck is the best, what do you call that? The special effect that we want to be using. The power effect. Okay, right now we're up against Single Strike. They got Single Strike Houndoom. I think it's a Tornadus deck. Tornadus VMAX. You don't really see that in the standard often. I'm quite happy that someone revived this deck, but it's actually nothing but Tornadus and Houndoom. Single Strike energy, double turbo with powerful energy. So double turbo actually helps you attack fast, but you do less damage. Powerful energy and single strike helps you do a one-hit knockout against any Pokemon across the board, even a 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 VMAX with a 𝑏omberSnow probably. They're doing 240 plus like 80 more damage with two powerful and two single strike energy. So that's like 320 damage with a choice belt 350. Which is actually not enough to kill a 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 with a 𝑏omberSnow, my bad. So a 𝑏omberSnow 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝑮𝑶 is still enough to tank for a one-hit knockout against Tornadus. Not against Urshifu though, probably, because Urshifu does like 270 base, and you got like, if you got 3 single strike energy, you get to do 60 extra, that's 330 with choice belt 360. Oh my goodness, it's still not enough. 380 HP, that's a lot though. If you have a big charm on 𝑷𝑗𝑟𝑒𝑙𝑎DON, you get to add up to 410 HP. That's the crazy thing about 𝑷𝑗𝑟𝑒𝑙𝑎DON. And if they have single strike energy without path to the peak, that's why single strike Pokemons need path to the peak. You need that path so badly. If they play 𝑷𝑗𝑟𝑒𝑙𝑎DON, that one card, you cannot do any damage at all. You're doing 0 damage. And I think Tornadus actually had to discard the tool. They had to discard the stadium before doing damage. If they are doing damage before discarding the stadium, then they actually get to hit the 𝑷𝑗𝑟𝑒𝑙𝑎DON with the path. If otherwise, they can't actually do it, right? If they discard the stadium first, they are doing 0 damage. So that's the tricky thing about Tornadus. I don't know whether you're discarding first or attacking first. They actually have a double turbo for the first one, and they couldn't get their Houndooms out fast enough. They got 𝑏barrel as well. I think it's better to just play VIP Pass and a lot of your stadiums, tool card, special energy. I don't think it's smart to play double turbo, honestly. I think it's just better to just focus on Houndoom. If you want to do a one-hit knockout fast, you should be playing VIP Pass, Level Ball, Incense, like a lot of setup cards to make sure you get enough Houndooms in play fast, and also bench your Tornadus at the same time, and then evolve your VMAX, single strike Roar, attach that one powerful from your hand and a choice belt, and you're good to go. So on your second turn, you can actually evolve the VMAX and your Houndoom, attach your second powerful, maybe if you're lucky, or your first powerful if you're unlucky, and then do single strike Roar 3 times for up to 320 damage without the choice belt. And you don't actually have to discard your energies, you just have to discard a stadium. So it's quite high demand though. Tornadus actually requires a stadium card in play, it requires those bench supports, your Houndooms, it requires 4 energies. You need to keep discarding a stadium. That means if you don't get it, if you don't have a stadium in your hand, or if you can't draw it out in time, you're doing only a raw 120 damage, which is really, really bad. So we got 230, 23 damage counter with Wobbuffet early, which is pretty cool. Now we need to, they need to waste their boss to do a Arceus knockout. If they don't get the boss, we get another strike with the second Arceus. We're probably going to attack with the second one. So the next one is probably the one we're going to have to watch out for. The next 𝓜𝓲𝓻𝓻 is doing a one-hit knockout for sure, because they got Houndoom now. They got the powerful energy. There we go. It's definitely doing a one-hit knockout. So they just need a double turbo on the next turn. Well, if they play something like a capture from their hand, if they attach a basic energy from their hand, anything, if they don't reduce damage, they're only doing 240 plus 40 more damage, 280, and they do a choice belt. It's exactly enough to kill the Arceus VSTAR with the big charm. So the second one actually has a big charm, and they actually pass a turn not doing a boss. That's perfect. So now we actually get a second strike with the same Wobbuffet. They couldn't kill the Wobbuffet even, because they got no stadium cards. So 120 minus 40 damage. They're doing 40 less damage with 2 double turbos, and they couldn't even kill our one prize Wobbuffet. That is quite sad. Wobbuffet gets to strike twice, and that's actually buying us an extra whole turn for us to do Arceus more times, for us to hit with Arceus more times. So I think they're gonna do a boss right now. They're either gonna boss the one with the big charm or the one without. I think they're probably gonna boss the first one. They actually have enough though. They have enough to do a V-Star knockout now. But they need that stadium card. Do they have a stadium card? If they don't, they need to boss the first one, and then all they need to do is get the stadium card out for the second V-Star knockout. So we're gonna have to do our Trinity Nova, and then possibly play the Raihan on the third Arceus. We actually got a third Arceus in our hand, so we need to be thinking about charging up the third one for the third Trinity Nova to knock out that 𝓜𝓚𝓻𝓻, because our Wobbuffet is not gonna do enough damage. It's not gonna do anything because they're doing a one-hit knockout strategy. Wobbuffet is completely useless once they got that one-hit KO strategy. So they got it set up now. They can keep on doing Max Wind Spirit for OHKO over and over. So we need to be thinking about Raihan right now. We need to be thinking about doing our third Trinity Nova for the final knockout. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to kill that 𝓜𝓚𝓻𝓻. We should be doing a boss though. They could quite easily play a 𝑐𝑭𝑭𝑬𝑹 and then Single Strike Roar, earn a Vitality. I don't know if that's possible. They don't have enough Houndooms in play though for that strategy to work. So we actually got a boss in our hand. We could quite easily do an escape rope boss for the final 2 prize, but I don't think it's that smart to play that. It would be better to just do a Raihan, because we need to get a second boss or an escape rope, and it's not that easy. We've got 21 cards left in the deck. They actually got 3 Bibarels. Why do they have so many Bibarels? You should be playing more Houndooms than Bibarel. Way too many Bibarels, dude. I would play like only 2 copies and 4 Houndooms, because Houndoom is that important. It's just way too important. I think they actually have 4 copies as well, probably. So they didn't get the stadium card. Look at that. They didn't get the stadium card, and we actually get to hit them. We get to do the final knockout with our Mirror Pain again. We got our switch card. We didn't even have to retreat to waste our energies. So that is like the perfect game right there. Tornadoes is quite sad though, because it needs that stadium, and there's no way to draw it out other than your Shady and Starbirth. There's no way to search for your stadium cards. There's no stadium nav in standard format. That's the bad thing about this game, is that there's no way you can search for your stadium cards. You could do like Octillery to get your Tower of Waters, but that's a whole another stage 1 Pokemon. You need like another stage 1 to get just the stadium card. Might as well just play Shady Dealings. Okay, right now we're up against another Miltank deck. They got item lock with Moltres, and they got Miltank. They're trying to play strategy right here, doing a big damage with Moltres, and then walling off with Miltank, locking your item with Paralyzing Bolt. So a lot of weird, quirky control techniques that they're trying to pull off against like meta decks. They're trying to defeat the meta with a crazy rogue Miltank deck. Okay, they did a Marnie early, but I think we got an Incense. We're still good. Look at that. We got enough cards in this deck to guarantee us an easy V-Star evolution, because once we evolve the Arceus, we don't need to worry too much about that. We don't need to do anything else because we got Starbirth. We get to search for research, we get to search for Bird Keeper, we get to do anything. Okay, here comes Arceus and Double Turbo. We don't even need to play our V-Star power. We're gonna keep our V-Star power for later and do Marnie. Quick Ball. Should we get a Nickit? I don't think we need the Nickit that early, so we're just gonna Marnie first and worry about Nickit later on. We can even capture the Nickit on the next turn. So let's just bench our third Arceus and Nova. We can't even evolve the second one. So let's evolve the second V-Star. Nova for 3 extra energies on the second one. I'm not sure if we should be spending our basic energies on Arceus just because they have Miltank, but we actually did it. So standard practice, attach 1 to your active to avoid a Temple of Sinnoh, Fan of Wave, Crushing Hammer, Disruption. Here comes another Miltank. People love Miltank so much just because it's a basic. We got Altaria Decidueye now in basic form. So Decidueye is actually Darkness Ablaze. And from Champion's Path we have Altaria, which is a stage 1 version of Deep Forest Camo. And now we got a basic version of Miraculous Charm. A basic version from Astral Radiance, which is a lot of sets apart from Champion's Path. So we got to play our Avery to force them to discard either the Moltres or the Bibarel if they want to keep those 2 Miltanks. We're gonna play it right now. What are you gonna discard? Okay, they removed the Miltank, which is big news, and we actually got a V knockout against a Miltank deck, which is great. That means we got our first 2 prize easy. As you saw on the last game against a Miltank, it was very, very annoying because we had to draw 1 prize at a time for each Miltank knockout. We have to keep on killing Miltank after Miltank after Miltank, and that is actually quite a heavy task because we got nothing but Wobbuffet and Thievul for the knockout, and if they got Cape of Toughness, we can't actually knock it out with Thievul. So it's actually quite tricky, but we got our boss though. We got 2 boss and escape rope, so that actually helped us a lot for that game. And I don't think we're doing too badly against Miltank because we got that 1 Wobbuffet and it's not doing a lot of damage. All we need to do is tank, and then Mirror Pain at the last second. If they do a boss though, if they boss the Wobbuffet early, we can't actually, you know, we can't do enough damage fast enough to knock out the Miltank. Because if they do 70 on, if they do 100 damage even on our Arceus, we're only able to do 100 on the Miltank back, and that means we need 2 strikes to kill the Miltank. That means if they do a boss before we get to strike off, before we get to hit our first time with the Wobbuffet, we actually run the risk of having the Wobbuffet killed first before we get to kill the Miltank. So that means Miltank gets to knock out Wobbuffet before we get to knock out, before we get to kill them. And that is actually not good because we only have that many Wobbuffet to spare. If we run out of our 1 prize cards, once we run out of our Mirror Pain and Thievul, we can't actually draw any prizes against a Miltank deck. So all they need is to boss the Wobbuffet enough times, playing a full-on nothing but Miltank. If they got nothing but Miltank and 𝑑𝑗𝑚𝑪𝑮𝑶, they just need to boss the Wobbuffet and keep on striking it with Route until all of them dies. Then we got nothing to attack with. Across the board, we're done. So I think the best strategy is to not bench the Wobbuffet until the last minute. Don't bench your Wobbuffet at all. And then once you got your Starbirth, once you got your V-Star, you can actually Starbirth for your basic and a double turbo, or even a switch card. If you have an energy in hand already, you can actually search for your basic and switch. And then you can even retreat, well, because you probably have enough energies by then, and then retreat to your Wobbuffet to do Mirror Pain on the Miltank for a surprise knockout, because a surprise knockout is what you want to aim for, because that way you get to save your Wobbuffet for enough strikes, because by then you would have enough damage counters on your Arceus, and even if they boss that Arceus, they can't knock it out with the 3rd strike. Like, Miltank is not that powerful. They can't even knock it out with the 3rd strike. That's why you're seeing Miltank playing a different list. They got Moltres now, they got Vikavolt, they got even Mightyena to add even more power to that Miltank, just because it does so less damage. It's so weak. Miltank is way too ridiculous. It's doing only 20x. So they got basic energy for this deck. They're playing Moltres, Zapdos, all the Galarian birds for some reason, and they got Clara for what's it called again? What's the attack called again? I forgot Moltres' attack. They got Clara for the Galarian birds and obviously the charge ability. Oh my goodness, I forgot the attack. Moltres. Zapper Kick for Zapdos. I totally forgot, sorry guys. But it does 50x for each prize card your opponent has taken. So they're only doing 120 damage right now for the Moltres. We finally got enough on the Arceus to do a Bird Keeper, Mirror Pain. We're gonna collect our 3rd prize this turn. Fabulous. We got our Thievul. Okay, we're gonna do our research on Marnie on the next turn. Probably a Marnie because we got our switch cards in our hand. We don't want to be wasting those cards. And it got free. The game froze for a few seconds. Sorry guys, because of the Wi-Fi issue. Not gonna happen many times for this game. I think that was the only time throughout this entire video. So don't worry about that. Okay, here comes Fiery Wrath. I remember the attack. Fiery Wrath, because I could actually see it on the screen. The fine print. Not too fine though. 2 darkness and 1 colorless. Clara for a Galarian bird stack. Miltank to wall like there's no tomorrow. And then they got Vikavolt for the item lock. Interesting. I wouldn't say too effective, but interesting for sure. Moltres, I have no idea why people love that card so much. It's not that powerful. It's really, it's trash. Like, Moltres is trash. Why are you playing it? Why is everybody being so hyped about this card? You need to wait for so long until you get enough damage in the game, because you're not doing a lot to start. 50x for each prize card. Like, your opponent is gonna draw like one prize at a time, and you need something to attack early. So obviously they're trying to attack with Vikavolt or Miltank first, which isn't a good strategy apparently, because it's not working too well. You need a power attacker to start, something like Togekiss Togekiss V maybe. That 1 NG fast attacker. Togekiss V is very low HP though, so it's not really a good option, to be honest. It's weak towards lightning. If you play 𝑷𝑻𝑪𝒁, you could actually help yourself. I don't know. There's not really any turbo attacker for one prize for the standard format as well. Hoopa only does 90. The Fire Moltres only does 90 as well. So the Fire Moltres is basically the new Hoopa, right? The new Hoopa from Darkness Ablaze. Portal, something portal. I forgot it. Assault Gate, right? Assault Gate. Now we have... Okay, I forgot the attack Moltres. The Fire Moltres with Magma Basin to do 90 damage. I'm a scatterbrain, guys. Sorry, guys. Okay. 2 Vikavolts down because they actually discarded the second copy. Now we got 2 prizes remaining, and they actually have to collect 5 prizes for the win. They got the fire weakness though. We actually forgot to get Dunsparce out for this game, because Zapdos can do not only 140 damage but also the paralysis. So we need to watch out for that Zapdos. Let's just kill it right now. We actually had to use the boss order because we couldn't do anything against the Miltank. So thank God for the boss. And now we're gonna do a research for our final prize. We need either our final bot. If they scoop up the Bibarel, there we go. They actually scooped up the Bibarel. Now we need to kill the Miltank. They're forcing us to knock out for that one prize with the Miltank. Are they gonna be able to win the game with nothing but Miltank? Let's see. We got our VSTAR power still in the game. We actually saved it till the very last minute. And we get to search for a Bird Keeper, Escape Rope. I think we did Escape Rope double turbo this turn. So we searched our deck with a Quick Ball for nothing because we wanted to look through before doing the Starbirth. And now we actually get our Escape Rope and double turbo. We even got Bird Keeper inside the deck as well. So Escape Rope for the win. Look at that. We didn't even got delayed a single turn. Right after the boss, we did our Mirror Pain for the final draw. Final prize. That's how consistent this deck is. Not bragging, just saying. This is how consistent it is. Arceus with Wobbuffet doing a power Mirror Pain at the last second. Double strike with multi-damage counter placement. And having your Thievul protect your bench V cards at the last second. Guaranteeing you 2 strikes with Wobbuffet. So Arceus stays on the bench for 2 turns once your opponent is down to 2 prize. We got 2 Thievuls in this deck, so it's not too difficult to pull it out. And right now we're up against a Tapu Koko, Moltres. I think they got a Sableye as well. So Hoopa, Moltres, Sableye, a very meta deck with nothing but Inteleon and Tapu Koko for the support. So free retreat support, shady dealings, and quick shoot support. They even got O Cemetery probably. So I think I'm going to end the voiceover right here and leave you guys to focus on the game. Hope you guys enjoyed the music, hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, and bye for now, lovely people. Today we are featuring the new card Thievul from Astral Radiance with the baffling ability, allowing you to keep your V cards safe on the bench once your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. And we're using this special ability with our Wobbuffet to do Mirror Pain, placing big damage counter on opponent's active Pokemon, and having our Arceus VSTAR tank big damage with our big charm as well. So that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, and bye for now, lovely people. Enjoy your life.
dreaming. But which parts were the dream?
Fight without a weapon.
I know now I don't need the Keyblade. I've got a better weapon. My heart.
Your heart? What good will that weak little thing do for you?
Although my heart may be weak, it's not alone. It's grown with each new experience, and it's found a home with all the friends I've made. I've become part of their heart just as they've become a part of mine. And if they think of me now and then, if they don't forget me, then our hearts will be one. I don't need a weapon. My friends are my power.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real or not? It's Tetris, bitch. 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 It's Tetris, bitch.
ever forget. Wherever you go, I'm always with you.
Even if we're apart, we're not alone anymore, right?
Sesame?
you.